author, but to everyone who played a part in bringing this to life. Book launches are special. They mark the moment of a deeply personal journey that becomes a shared experience. And tonight we've gathered to honor that journey and the words that have found their way into the world. Before we dive into the evening, I want to take a moment to thank some very special people and partners without whom this celebration wouldn't have been possible. To our publishing team at Westland, thank you for your vision and dedication. To our event partners, Crossword, your support helped share this evening into something truly meaningful. And to our friends in the media, thank you for amplifying the power of stories. Most of all, thank you to every one of you who is in this room for showing up, for coming, for caring about books, and for making space for creativity and conversation. We have a beautiful evening tonight, so settle in and let's enjoy it together. Have you ever considered the unexpected parallels between marketing and mixology? While marketing might seem confined to meeting rooms and social media, and mixology to Friday nights and bars, our new book explores their surprising intersection. Ambi's new book, Marketing Mixology, 4 Essential Ingredients for Marketing Success, offers a fresh perspective on the fundamentals of marketing by drawing insightful connections to the art of crafting cocktails. On the panel, we have some very interesting people. Anand Kripalu, whose career comprised 22 years at Unilever, 8 at Cadbury, and then another 8 at Diageo. He's currently the CEO of Blackstone-backed TPL, a global packaging leader. Anand has received distinguished alumnus awards from both IIT Madras and IIM Calcutta. He was honored with the Lifetime Achievement Award by Indian Marketing Awards, that's the IMA Forum. Could we have him on stage, please? Our second panelist is a mixology expert. Prantik Haldar is the beverage innovations head at the Bombay Canteen, known for his inventive cocktails that celebrate local Indian ingredients. Starting as a bartender after graduating in 2017, he played a key role in shaping O Pedro's bar program before returning to lead beverage innovation at the Bombay Canteen in 2022. A national finalist in top cocktail competitions and winner of Bar Manager of the Year, Icons of Whiskey Awards 2023, he continues to push the boundaries of modern mixology in India. Can we have him on stage, please? Our third panelist, Khushnaz Raghina, is the brand ambassador of Moet Hennessey. Khushnaz is a beverage consultant, trainer, cocktail enthusiast, and passionate about all things food and beverage. She has been a Diageo Bar Academy and world-class trainer and a judge and led award-winning beverage projects for Diageo and Moet Hennessey India. She has competed in and won various bartending competitions such as World Class India and the first woman amongst top 7 best bartenders, Bacardi Legacy India 2015. Can we have you on stage, please? And now for the call of the star. The panelists basically are going to be in conversation with the author of the book, the star of the evening, Ambi Parameswaran. Ambi, doesn't need an introduction, but for all the other new young people here, is a marketing and advertising veteran of over 4 decades and an author of 11 books. This is his 12th. Over to you, Ambi.
Thank you, Kavita, for the introduction. Those of you who don't know, Kavita is one of the co-founders of India's #1 podcasting platform, IBM. 2 of my podcasts are on her platform. So thank you, Kavita, for that. Yeah. And her partner, whom I call the Podfather, is standing there. We bow to you, Potfather, Amit. Okay, so first, thank you, Crossword, for offering this place. Thank you. Closer? Oh, we have to unveil the book. Yeah, okay. Hey, Kavita, where are you? We have to unveil the book. We have to launch the book, yeah? Yeah, we all of us will stand up and launch it. No? Yeah, come.
Okay. Just pick one each. No, pick one. Okay. That's it. And we have to open the ribbon. Yeah, that's it. Open the ribbon. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Divya, for reminding us to do the unveiling. Otherwise, we'd all been wondering, what is this book? We're launching.
Marketing battle.
Yeah. So thank you to Crossword for helping us organize this. Thank you, Westland, for putting it together, and thanks to Anand, Prantik, and Khushnaz for agreeing to be on the panel, and a special thanks to all of you for being here on a weekday afternoon. Right. So, those of you been to my other book talks, I had almost a set pattern. I'll stand up and make a presentation for about 30-40 minutes, and I'll do a kind of a discussion with some guests. Gopi, there is a seat there, you can sit there. Yeah. So this time it's going to be different. So what I'm going to do is to talk for probably 5 to 10 minutes with the permission of my panelists about the book, and then get them to talk about mixology. Right? So first of all, you'll be wondering, why is this book called Marketing Mixology? Where does this title come from? See, this book started in a very different way some 3-4 years ago. I wrote a piece for Amazon Prime on negotiation, which went on to do very well. It ranked among the top in Kindle for a year, for a few months. And then later next year I wrote something on branding. So I had 2 pieces I had written, roughly 10,000 words each, and Amazon gave me back the rights, and I had 2 10,000 word pieces. Westland, Kartika, and my agent Anish Chandy said, look, why don't you write 2 more pieces, we'll put together as a book. So I wrote 1 more on communication and 1 more on understanding consumers. And then my editor said, these are not working. So I had to rewrite. I rewrote all the 4. And finally the book was ready, and I said, look, I need a quirky title. Yeah, 4 very different topics, So the idea was, call it marketing something, basics of marketing. Maza nahi aaya. So I came across one crazy idea that I'll call it Marketing Masala Mix. And I'll have a box of a masala, like Badshah Masala box cover. Right? I loved it, but my publisher and my literary agent said this is stupid. Actually, literary agent Anish said it's fun, but my publisher Kartika said no, it doesn't go well with your branding and all that. So think of something else. And these days, when you want to think of something else, what do? You go to ChatGPT. So I went to ChatGPT, started asking ChatGPT to give me names. And in the 100 names which ChatGPT gave, actually I found this word mixology. And that's where this marketing mixology idea came up. And then of course I got ChatGPT to design a cover, which I used as a brief to my designer, and that's how the cover got done. So I think overall, I do need to give some credit to ChatGPT for having done this very nice cover design for me. So thank you ChatGPT. The book, yeah?
Are you scared ChatGPT would take over?
Pardon?
Are you scaring us? ChatGPT from the next?
No. I wrote the book. Every single word I wrote, yeah. Every single word I wrote.
Why are we supposed to believe you now?
You check, you ask ChatGPT. Go and ask ChatGPT, who wrote this? Right? It will tell you that I didn't write it, someone else wrote it. So I wrote it. I wrote everything in this book. I think the title came from ChatGPT. I should give that credit, right? Even in the foreword I mentioned it. Title actually came from ChatGPT, and I give full credit to ChatGPT for that. Right? So,
Full marks.
though I'm going to be 70, I still know how to use these AI tools. Guys, wake up. Alright, so why is it mixology? Mixology is because I've covered two topics in this book which you will not find in any marketing book. One is negotiation, the other is communication. So negotiation, communication are not covered in any marketing book. So two chapters are pretty much in every marketing book, which is understanding consumers and branding, common stuff. There in every book. But negotiation and communication, where I've talked about one-on-one communication, one-to-many communication. I've covered that in this book, which I don't think you'll find in any other book. So first chapter of the book is understanding consumers, where I talk about what you need to do to understand consumers. Do home visits, talk to consumers, do quantitative research. Then I've got a whole chapter on brand building, where I've used a model which I created called Brand Building Pentagon, which I wrote a book called Building Brand Value, adapted that and put it in here. The third chapter is on negotiation selling. Here I've talked about the classic stuff, which is your Batna and Zopa. All of you know Batna, Zopa? Right, okay. If you don't know, read the book, it's there. And I've also narrated a story from Theodore Roosevelt's presidential campaign. Now, some of you may have heard the story. Apparently, the campaign manager for Theodore Roosevelt was printing the leaflet, and he came across a very nice photograph of Theodore Roosevelt, and he printed 1 million leaflets with that photograph. After the printing was done, 1 million leaflets were there. Someone asked this campaign manager, you use this photograph, but do you have the rights for this photograph? The campaign manager said, well, no. Says, okay, then you may have to reprint this whole thing, which will cost you, whatever, $2-3 million. Or you're going to ask the photographer for permission, which means he's going to charge you $1 million. But this campaign manager, and we know these campaign managers can be very smart, so he sent a telegram to the photographer saying that, we plan to print 1 million leaflets for Theodore Roosevelt's presidential campaign. We want to put a nice photograph on that leaflet. It will give, whichever photograph we have selected, it will give the photographer a lot of publicity. How much would you pay us to use a photograph you had taken of Theodore Roosevelt? So this poor photographer sends a telegram back saying, I'll be happy, but I can only afford to pay you $250. So look at the difference. It would have cost him $2 million, but he ended up making $250. Now, it's a debatable whether he conned the photographer or not, but I've explained this is cause information asymmetry. And this whole story I've also told an interesting story about Akbar, Birbal and Mango, which you can read. And the last chapter is on communication. Here I've talked about in marketing, all of us need to know how to communicate. We need to know how to write, we need to know how to talk, we need to know how to stand up and make a presentation. So in this chapter I've written about all that, and I've also talked about something called the Gunning Fog Index. Any of you heard of this Gunning Fog Index? Okay, Gunning Fog Index is available, is an easy to use tool. Whatever you write, you upload on Gunning Fog Index, it will tell you how many years of schooling a person should have gone through to understand this article, right? So ideally they say 8 to 9 years is good. Anything like 10, 12, 14 years, most people will not understand what you're saying. So in fact, I've used that example and I've said this particular paragraph passes the Gunning Fog Index because it takes only 8 years to understand this paragraph. So this is why I called it mixology, but those of you who bought the book thinking you'll get a lot of good booze recipes, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Right? There is no booze recipes. You will have to ask them separately, call them, but so you will not get booze recipes from the book. But the book is a very simple book. Arvind, Gopi idhar baitha hai, he is looking for you. Arvind and Gopi, we go back to Vidya Mandir, Mylapore, 55, 60 years. Yeah, we've known each other. Right? So, old friends. So, there are no recipes there. There is no booze there. The bottles you see are the bottles on the cover. So there's full disclosure. So when I said, how do you do a launch of this kind of a book? I talked to my old friend, Anand. I said, actually I spoke to Ashwini. Ashwini is a former managing director of Mercury Travel. He's a certified bartender. And he can make a lethal cocktail, which you think tastes like fruit juice, but it will knock you dead. I don't know what he puts, but he's lethal. He's really, really bad. So I spoke to Anand and I said, look, Anand, I want to do a very interesting panel here. Suggest a mixologist. And you're a liquor guy, you're a mixologist. And he suggested Khushnaz's name and Khushnaz readily agreed. Thank you. Thank you, Anand. Thank you, Khushnaz. And I wanted one more. So I spoke to Samir Seth, the founder of Bombay Canteen. He suggested Prantik's name. So we kind of have a mixology discussion now. Right? So I've given them all a copy of the book. So now I'm going to do a surprise quiz which they have to answer. Right? No, but okay. Anand, do you want to say something about the book? If you read the book, anything you want to share?
Yeah, so full disclosure, Ambi, I've only skimmed through the book. Okay.
But you're so smart, even while skimming.
Yeah, but I'll tell you honestly, some parts of the book that I skimmed through really reminded me of my brand management. All the techniques that we used on consumer understanding and stuff like that, including and then branding and so on. But for me, actually, I think the title was the most catchy part of it, right? And I think everyone here would have preferred some real mixology being served, during this session rather than, coffee tea.
I asked Crossword whether I can serve, but they said, look, there are cops hanging around here all the time.
No, you need a license. I can tell you it is not easy to serve alcohol wherever you want to. But I think, for me, the book really took me down memory lane, I have to say, right? Because this brought to life a lot of stuff that we have done in the past. So for me, that was really what was special in the book. So the title, and for me, a bit of the walk down memory lane, bringing back my brand management experience to life. So that's really it, Ambi.
Okay, now tell me, you moved from classical FMCG to liquor. What did you have to learn and unlearn? Did you have to get a bartender's license?
So I must tell you, when I joined Diageo in 2013, Dr. Malia was still chairman of the company at that time, and he was chairman for 2.5 years after that. And I still remember the first get together when we had all our chief operating officers from all the regions and all over there. And the first thing I realized, the perception from outside when you walk into a liquor company is what?
Drunk people.
The people will be drinking all the time. And I realized that 3 of the 4 chief operating officers were teetotalers. Right?
Who made them CEOs?
No, they were made CEOs, and then you realize that in life you can manage a lot of products and brands, you know how to personally consume them. And when I asked them, अरे यार ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है that हम सिर्फ पिलाते हैं. That was the answer they gave. Now, as far as I was concerned, I think the fundamentals of marketing, brand building, apart from the fact that it's a media dark industry, were not very different from my experience at Levers or Cadbury before that. But what takes the cake in alcohol is how you do business. Right? it is probably the most complex industry to do business in if you want to do it the right way. You want to do it compliantly, you want to do it honestly, right? And there's a reason why the reputation from outside is tarnished. A lot of people, don't want to be associated with the liquor industry by day, but by evening they all come home to have a drink, all right? But during the day they'll say, hey, what is this industry, This is what it is. Evening they need to have their drink. So the back end is really, really complex to maneuver. So for me, the marketing principles were common.
Is that an Indian situation or is it same?
It is unique, India, and that's also because every state is a country in alcohol. It's a state subject enshrined in the constitution. By the way, by the constitution also, the license to sell alcohol is a privilege. It's not a right, right? And therefore, a state can impose prohibition whenever they want to, right? And you have cases like Bihar, which is still under prohibition, and Gujarat, which is the wettest dry state in the world. I can tell you that for those of you who go to Gujarat.
Wettest dry state.
The wettest dry state, because you can buy alcohol under every lamppost, literally. So it is a very complex business. So, and I used to say that typically when you're going to office, you think of what you want to do during the day. On most days, I would drive back home in the evening, having done completely different things, because every day something would happen in this industry that would complicate life, and you'll forget the important and focus on the urgent. Right? There was always a disruption happening. But I'll tell you one thing, now that I've been through that journey, it is a fascinating industry, right? For those who choose to drink, because you're genuinely promising for those who want it a bit of spirit in life. It's a lifestyle category, right? And for many, it's a luxury category, right? The way luxury brands are sold. The gross margin for most of the Diageo brand will be 90%. It's all marketing and branding. The COGS, the cost of goods sold, is negligible. Right? If Johnny Walker Blue Label will have more than 90%.
Mr. Raghina is giving you dirty looks. Because all the trucks and cars we sold at a cost of goods of what? 70%, 80%?
There you go. Yeah, but this is truly luxury, right? It's like, Louis Vuitton bags. COGS will be a very small part of the price of a bag. So I can tell you that it's fascinating, because when you go and partake in the experiences that you give people who come there to enjoy, right? I think it leaves a smile on your face. So I think with hindsight,
Do you
thoroughly enjoy.
Do you still drink?
I do.
What's your favorite drink?
My biggest challenge after I joined Diageo was that my favorite drink is
Old
Monk
Monk,
rum.
Old Monk, yeah.
Old Monk rum.
Spoken like a true
And
IIT Madras guy.
I could not drink Old Monk rum in Diageo. This was the biggest problem I had. Then we created Captain Morgan Dark. Unfortunately, it wasn't as good as Old Monk. But it is. But amongst the Diageo brands, it's Johnny Walker Black Label and Soda. Again, a very, very Indian taste. Black Label and Soda.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Anand. Let's move to Prantik in that order. So, what is mixology? Everyone here wants to know, what is mixology? When did this become popular?
So, I was actually reading up about this, and when I read the book and went through the label, this thought was going through my head that when did mixology actually come into the popular lexicon? So a little bit of history tracing takes it back to around 1850s, when a newspaper somewhere in the States had noted this word down as a joke, like as an American joke, saying that is a mixologist in this uptown hotel that is slinging drinks. And this is way before the word cocktail was coined at any newspaper. So that, from being a joke mentioned in a newspaper that people, probably took it up as clippings. Fast forward to the 1980s, when a bartender at another up-and-coming hotel, Mr. Dale DeGroff, who is one of the forefathers of the current generation of mixology, he wanted a word that would stick with the media, because he said, I wanted to put myself as a trailblazer. I wanted the media to notice me. Because that was a very expensive hotel where he was working at. And the project cost was massive and he had to justify the costs. So he found this word and said that, you know what, this joke was more than a century old. Nobody remembers this as a joke now. I'll just, use this word. So he started using the word mixologist to describe himself, and then the entire generations of bartenders who were into the art and science of mixology, they started using that word for themselves.
Every bartender is not a mixologist.
No. So not every bartender is a mixologist, but a mixologist has to be a bartender to start.
Okay, good. So let's go to Khushnaz to ask, how do you become a mixologist?
So, like Prantik correctly said, I like to term it as a cognac can be a brandy, but not all brandies can be a cognac. Right. So in the same way, you start off your journey as a bartender. Anyone who can stand behind a bar and serve you a drink, you may want probably a whiskey and soda or a whiskey pani, right? But a mixologist would probably convert you with his creativity. He'd say, you usually drink a whiskey soda. Would you like me to make a little spin to it and serve you a crafted serve? A cocktail with innovation, a cocktail that has some unique ingredients, unique techniques that have been used. So a mixologist is a person who knows the art and the science of crafting great drinks and be able to spin you another cocktail besides your regular serve that probably, I'm sure, even you could make me a great whiskey and soda. So
If Mr. Ravikant asks you whiskey and soda, what are you going to tell him? How will you spin him?
where is Mr. Ravikant?
No, he's sitting here.
That's so sorry. Sir, what other styles of drinks do you like? Do you prefer any preferred flavors? Do you like citrus forward? Do you like them spirit forward? Do you like them more in terms of a blend with unique ingredients? How do you usually like your drinks if not just the whiskey soda? Only whiskey with water. Okay, then I have a suggestion for you. How about adding a bit of complexity to your whiskey and water? How about an infusion in your water with a lovely reduction of sweet spice, with some cinnamon, star anise, maybe a slice of citrus, and elevate the notes of your whiskey? Does it sound a bit tempting? Only a spoon of water. Old fashioned then it is. Absolutely. Sir. Okay. Now.
Okay. No, don't bully my guest.
But yes, an old fashioned. I just store it up for you probably.
Okay, so Khushnaz, what is your favorite drink? And we'll come to Prantik as well.
That's a very difficult question because my drink shuffles with who I'm drinking with, the ambience I'm drinking in, where I'm drinking, the mood I am in. I pretty much have a favorite drink almost every single day. So it shuffles, but if I had to go to one drink, without a debate, it would be a great margarita, tequila, citrus, sweetener, have a nice batch and throw a great tequila party.
Sounds tempting.
Yeah.
Sounds really tempting, I have to say.
Anything that you can just batch up into a pitcher and enjoy a party.
Good show. Okay, Prantik, what is your favorite cocktail?
So I also kind of change what I feel like drinking depending on the mood, but if I'm at a place like at a bar that serves good cocktails, I would love to try out their signature creations, or I love a classic simple daiquiri made with white rum. So it's just white rum, lime and sugar. Very simple drink, but the flavors that come out if you use a good quality rum, it's beautiful.
Okay. So I'm going to come back to the two of them again. I'm going to spend a lot of time with them, Anand, with your permission.
Of course.
Because we are discussing mixology. Which has been the most challenging assignment you had?
The most challenging assignment, I think that would be my transition from O Pedro to Bombay Canteen. So O Pedro is a slightly smaller restaurant, around 60 seaters in Bandra Kurla complex. Serves a slightly different kind of food, like a subset of Indian food which is Goan Portuguese. The bar is the main focus. And like as soon as you enter the space, you see like a massive wooden bar. Looks like an old country bar with like a lot of flora around. From elevating that bar to moving to Bombay Canteen and leading the program there, that was a big change for me because the guests, the clients changed. The flavors that I was very comfortable with and successful with working at Pedro, they were not doing so well when I moved to this side of town, to Lower Parel. And I had to adapt myself to suit the consumers this side of town. And of course, much bigger space as well. So my pace of working had to change, bigger team to work with. So all in all, that particular year, 2022, the transition was a big, I would say that was the biggest difficult assignment for me.
Okay, so Khushnaz, what was your most challenging mixology moment?
So, again, shifting from the world behind the bar to actually representing a brand. So, when you're working behind the bar, you're very free to play around with various spirits, various mixers, unique ingredients. And you have the freedom to explore. It's this blank playground that you have. But when you go into the brand world and you're representing a brand, it's all about understanding the product you're playing with, the values of the brand, the flavor notes of the product, again, that you are working with, and also understanding who exactly are you crafting those serves for, who the drink is appealing to. So having that understanding playing by the brand helps you craft serves that actually speak the brand language itself. So that transition, I think, has been a challenge that restricts you, but also it gives you that ability to play and leverage the brand's understanding better.
Who taught you all this branding gyan? Was it Anand?
Good answer.
Book is now, yeah. Book is now.
No, it's a
But she
fantastic
had a
book.
tough question for Anand. So I'm going to let her ask him that. Ask him.
Isn't it a bit too early?
No, ask him. We'll come back. We'll come back to mixology.
No, so I actually did, and it's quite a complex question, sir. So I had to write it down. It's more related to the alcohol industry, especially in India. What advice would you give marketeers for navigating a dark market where regulations, social sensitivities, right, are extremely high, and how can brands, especially new brands, build a story presence and a strong presence whilst ensuring compliance? This was something that you mentioned earlier as well, and quite a challenge, especially in a market like India.
Oh, thank you. The classical stuff that I learned my marketing doing started with make a nice 30-second ad, put a nice display in the retail store, and you're done, and get out of the way, and brands start selling, right? And obviously oversimplifying, but that's what it was. I think in Alcobev, first of all, you have the on-trade, which you don't have in FMCG. I mean, you have it in some food categories and so on, but here the big brand building is how you can bring a brand alive in the on-trade, which is your restaurants and bars and so on, where inside that bar, you can legally advertise, right, and do whatever you want to. And then how you create experiences through mixology, through the right cocktails, right, and you entice and excite people with potions that they will then remember and say, wow, what an experience. So that's something that you do. There's a lot of advertising that happens in store. Okay, so that's, and if you see, you walk into liquor stores. Now, some states don't allow you to even put a poster inside the store, like Rajasthan and so on. But in most other states, if you go to Gurgaon, for instance, right, you see the liquor stores, some of the best liquor stores in the world, you'll find in Gurgaon, for those of you who go to Gurgaon. It's also amongst the cheapest prices, I think, in the world, right, in Gurgaon. And they're all genuine, by the way. You can really do branding through fixtures inside the store. And finally, something which may not be 100% legally correct but is acceptable practice is, I think, surrogate advertising is a bad word. I would call it brand extension advertising, okay? Which means, it could be a glass or a music CD or something else, but everybody knows what you're selling. Okay, so those are the things that you do. I'll tell you the other advantage, particularly for legacy companies with entrenched brands, is it's really hard for somebody to unseat you once you establish yourself. So think of the tobacco industry today where you cannot, right? And I actually hate to be associated with tobacco. So I'm going to caveat that because I think tobacco, even one cigarette is bad and it can kill you. Whereas in alcohol, there's enough data to say a little bit of alcohol actually could be good for you. But that's a separate discussion.
Liquor lobby has done a better job than the tobacco lobby. Liquor lobby has done a better job than
Yeah, but if you think about it, in tobacco, it's impossible for new brands to establish themselves today. It is the brands that, when we were in IIT, people smoked. The same thing that people are smoking today, right? So there's a disadvantage, but also an advantage if you are an entrenched brand. But that's what everyone does. And of course, digital is a gray area still. There isn't enough tightness and regulation, and therefore everyone's using digital platforms to advertise. And finally, something which may not be very popular now, but Royal Challengers Bangalore.
That's the biggest surrogate.
RCB,
Yeah.
Royal Challenge Whiskey, in a media dark market. I think you have to give credit to Dr. Malia, who actually bet on that and called it Royal Challengers Bangalore, saying that in a media dark market, nobody can stop my sports team from playing cricket. All right, and they will always carry the RC logo on their jersey. Okay, so I mean those are the kinds of things, Khushnaz, that people do, and even in this game, some people do it better and some people don't do it as well.
Okay, good, thanks. Was he okay? Huh?
Okay, you can give me honest feedback later.
No. So, coming back to mixology, right? So, are there, both of you, one of you can take it up. Are there some secret, not so secret ingredients which only mixologists know, which a normal bartender doesn't know?
I think just like how every cook has their own secret ingredient, it might be super simple also. Every mixologist uses some of the other ingredients. Like I can tell you, I put salt in all of my cocktails.
Salt.
Everything. Every single thing has salt. Like even if I'm making a simple highball, which is some spirit with soda, there would be a little bit of salt going in there somewhere.
What does the salt do?
The salt does the exact same thing what it does to your food. So why I remember that salt is a great flavor enhancer. I remember I was in college and it was around the time of Durga Puja and I'm Bengali, so it's a huge thing for us. I called up my mother because she had sent me some gourd from the winter harvest and some rice and stuff from home saying that you have to make this kheer. I said okay, but I have no idea how to. Then she was giving me instructions and at the end she said, after it's done, just add a little bit of salt. I said, what do you mean salt? It's sweet dish. She said, just add it. I did, and then I just realized that wow, this makes such a huge difference. So I remembered that incident, and when I started making cocktails after the initial few years of just bartending, I started putting a little bit of salt in a few drinks and I realized that taste just changes. It doesn't make it taste very different, it just makes everything taste better for some reason.
So is that why on a Bloody Mary they have the salt on the rin? Right?
Yes, but also Bloody Mary specifically is a very different example because it is supposed to resemble a soup. Like it is a very thick, brothy, thick, that kind of a flavor. It's supposed to be a salty drink. But I'm not talking about salt as a flavor. Salt in most cocktails is not even mentioned as an ingredient. It's just added in like a few drops and changes flavor.
Did we know that? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So, thank you, Prantik. That's a big secret.
No,
right?
it is a big secret, and it is one of the secrets of most of the mixologists. It basically just elevates every flavor nuances that you have in your drink. It's that magical ingredient that just binds all the ingredients and then showcases it all together.
What is yours?
It is in fact
He's taken
salt.
So you want to.
So now another secret of mine is, which actually majority may disagree with, is good ice. The ice has that ability to dilute your drink or at the same time retain its same flavor profile till the end of your drink. So having good ice, whether it's a shaken up drink, say for example, I'm going to shake up my cocktail with crushed ice, I'm going to have a very diluted drink. I like the punch in my drink. I want to taste the spirit, I want to taste the ingredients. But if I do use great ice, and trust me, more the ice, less the dilution, the better it's going to taste and retain the same structure of your drink for a longer period of time. So ice is my favorite ingredient.
So you put more ice?
Yes, in fact we have, we usually tend to think that if we have less ice, it's going to be better for my drink. No, actually, it's going to basically dilute faster and you are drinking a diluted
So putting
drink.
more ice makes it stay cold.
Yes.
I have to say.
Interesting. So Khushnaz, what is your signature drink? One drink which is your signature.
It's one drink that I actually made for quite a few times. I like playing around with sweeteners. So I used to do a salted maple old fashioned with an Isla smoky peated whiskey. So that is one of my favorite drinks. So
Smoky whiskey.
yes,
With
a maple syrup. You can also substitute it with caramel or honey and add in a pinch of salt to it and with aromatic bitters. It tastes absolutely incredible.
Wow.
Do serve it on a big block of ice.
Prantik, what is your signature?
So it's not one particular drink, but more of a structure. So the drinks that I have made that people have requested the most of is some of the other form of an old fashioned, like something spirit forward. But lately there is this.
Explain what is spirit forward.
Spirit forward means a cocktail that doesn't have too much of anything apart from the booze, like different alcoholic elements.
So strict. His style of a drink.
Yeah. So it could be just one spirit, like a whiskey, like an old fashioned is just usually whiskey with bitters and some sugar. But it could also be a mix of different alcohol based elements, like a spirit, like a whiskey, some liqueur, a bit of like a wine modifier, like a vermouth, some things like that. But no juices, no soda, no tonic, nothing like that. So there is a drink that I have made lately. It's with mezcal, which is an agave spirit from Mexico, slightly smoky, earthy flavors again. Because a lot of people who used to enjoy drinking whiskey or whiskey in cocktails or gins, they are moving towards agave spirits now, tequila, mezcal. It's got a different interesting flavor that people have been exposed to. So that with umeshu, which is a plum liqueur from Japan, a bit of vermouth and some Aperol, which is like a bittersweet liqueur. Usually used in Aperol spritzes, but makes for a great cocktail ingredient. So this concoction tastes slightly bittersweet, slightly smoky, kind of ticks all the boxes. It's not too sweet, it's very boozy as well.
What do you call it?
Call it the salty, well, it's called a salty bitch, but
You need to ask ChatGPT for some interesting name.
I think that name is quite interesting. I just have to ask it for a censored name.
Okay, now let's. I think we have another 5 minutes and we throw it open to the audience. Last question I have, actually all three of you. How is the consumer changing? Khushnaz, you want to start? Say, how is the who's consumer changing? What do you see?
I would say the consumer is actually evolving the world of mixology. They're not changing it, they're evolving it. Consumers today are well traveled. They're coming back with experiences they've had internationally and they want to replicate it over here. They're far more conscious about what they're drinking, how they're drinking, the brand they're drinking. They are navigating towards drinking less but drinking better. It's not how much you are drinking, it's the enjoyment you're having towards drinking. And at the same time, they're far more curious than they were before. Initially, you would probably walk into a bar and order your, Cosmopolitan or a Bloody Mary or any of your favorite signature cocktails. But today, you'll see the consumer walking straight up towards the mixologist, the bartender, and asking them, what is your signature drink? You know what, I tried this when I traveled, could you replicate it? Or what is new on your menu? What is different? Today is that trend of that Instagrammable moment with your drinks as well. But at the same time, in the world of mixology, not from the side of the consumer, bartenders are adopting more of a conscious approach of mixing their drinks, having more local and seasonal ingredients, more mindfulness whilst crafting their serves at the same time. Anything that you'd like to add in?
Pretty much what you said. Lately we realized most of our guests know more about mixology than we do. Like there are so many times they just come up to us with a WhatsApp message from some friend saying that, hey, get this bartender to make this cocktail, it will taste really good. It doesn't taste great most of the time because it's a drink that their friend has tried, but they don't know whether they would like this or not. And then they try, maza nahi aaya. And then they say, okay, now may I help you understand what you'd like. But in this process, that teaches us a lot of things. There are so many combinations that we don't know because we are generally not exposed to it. There's a big kind of talk going on about how Indian bartenders or the Indian mixology scene has not grown as much. It's because as a culture, we had not been drinking too many cocktails for a long time, and that entire movement has come in force, I would say in the past, 5-8 years. I think it has picked up steam, and it has picked up steam like how? I have been bartending for about 8-9 years now, and the amount of evolution in terms of the palette of people, like all the guests coming in and asking for unique serves, it has grown in the past 5 years more than anything, especially like post-COVID.
So you mean it's no longer the classical whiskey with soda, whiskey with water, or Bloody Mary, or a screwdriver, but
that will, like the classic serves will not change, but people who are asking, like, say for example, like a screwdriver or a cosmopolitan, they have moved on to a lot more complex serves. Like they would probably say, okay, I used to drink a screwdriver, but what can you make me? That's interesting.
So Indian liquor consumer has been kind of stereotyped into a guy who wants a kick, who wants a high. Is that changing?
Yes, it is. I mean, a certain segment of the market is still there. I mean, everybody drinks for different purposes. Some people still want that kind of kick or like the feeling of alcohol going down their throat sometimes. Some people have moved on from that. Some people want something else. What mixologists now across the board believe that why alcohol is such a great base. Otherwise, like for example, I picked up this profession because I was studying to become a chef initially. But due to some changes in my path and some things that I chose, I came into this profession. But what mixologists do with the flavors is because alcohol is a great carrier of flavor. So whatever you mix into it, it absorbs those flavors really well. So it's a good canvas to play with. And most consumers are also accepting that,
waking up to that. Okay. Great.
Also, in fact, premiumization. Today your consumers don't mind having one of your signature serves, but with a premium brand as well. And that has been a trend that we've been seeing of late.
I know that in the beer market, what sells is that oily tasting strong beer, right?
No, that does. But I just want to add a comment. There's a generational shift happening. I spoke about whiskey soda or Old Monk, right? Ravikant spoke about whiskey with a dash of water. Now what's happening is that it's people of our vintage who are drinking this now. The younger generation is drinking much more of wax, tequila, mezcal, maybe a bit of gin in some markets in the world, right? But there's a big move. So my younger son will only drink tequila, right? I have a good collection of whiskey at home, not interested. Yeah. The other thing that mixologists like them do, creating cocktails, is normalization of alcohol. It doesn't look like whiskey, it doesn't look like alcohol, it looks exotic. So it tends to normalize and makes it much easier, for instance, women to drink. Now women will not easily start drinking, let's say, whiskey. They may end up drinking whiskey, but not start drinking whiskey. But cocktails normalizes that and makes it far more accessible. And then finally, I think the trend is towards low and no alcohol. Increasingly, there's an explosion of non-alcoholic spirits. So Diageo has a brand, which is a distilled spirit with no alcohol. And you might say, why pay so much? Because it costs the same as alcohol. But the company makes far more margin because you don't pay the excise duty. Right?
I was hoping to serve alcohol-free beer here,
Yeah.
but I was told not to.
What
do that.
happens is somebody is driving, or somebody says, I just don't want to drink today. Right? Or I've had one drink and after that I don't want, but how many cokes or juices can I have over a long evening? So then you hold something that is like an adult drink, right? Which is not pouring like a coke or a juice, right? And that is what low and no alcoholic spirits are actually doing, right? But you're right, in India there is still the mass of India. The reason why India is probably the only market in the world which is over-indexed on, within quotes, hard liquor or spirits versus beer and wine, is because the cost per unit cake.
It's cheapest
The
with
cost per
whiskey.
unit cake, right, is the lowest in spirit. So to get to the same level of, well, let's call it elevation, beer is more expensive, right? But then within beer, you're right, 80% of this country is strong beer. 80% of this country is strong beer, which is about 6-7% alcohol versus 4 or 5. Okay? So I think these are genuine trends where people much more health conscious, much more conscious about what they drink, what they eat, right? And I think this is a generational shift that's actually happening.
Great. So I think time is now for us to open the floor for some questions to our expert mixology panel. I've got one hand going up here from my school friend, another hand from Karthi, who's a former head of Kotak, marketing guru, yeah. And of course, our local Rotary Club president has put up his hand. We've got a big contingent of my Rotary Club of Mumbai 25 here. There's one more hand here, one more, my God. So, you want to ask a question? Sanjay? Yeah. Okay, first we go to Gopi. Gopi, short. Question short. Yeah. Mic to Gopi, please.
I have a lot of voice.
No, yaar. Mic to le.
Chill.
I think you mentioned about how alcohol is able to mix with various flavors. You also talked about mixing a bit of salt. My guess is the visibility increases. Visibility, I think mixology is often of the word visibility. So I think probably the ionization of the alcohol is increasing the ability, the solubility of the various perfumes or additives into the basic alcohol.
Okay, yes. You still want to have that drink, right?
Technical question. Chemical engineer.
Sorry, question. You didn't get the question.
He also a chemical engineer.
I'm a reformed chemical engineer. I've forgotten all my chemical engineering.
So,
Both in IT.
So what he's saying is,
Recovering chemist.
adding a little bit of salt improves the mixability of anything into alcohol.
The solubility.
Yeah, solubility. Is that the reason why you guys add a little bit of salt?
so even when we do add salt to the drink, we do add a salt solution. So we dilute the salt into water and use it as a liquid solution, so it's easy to mix into your drink. We don't sprinkle salt in.
They don't sprinkle
So
salt.
it doesn't act like an addition to make the drink salty, but rather to elevate all the nuances and flavors of the individual ingredients that go into your drink.
Thanks.
So, if like a lot of people actually also ask me when they're sitting at the bar, we have a small bottle that is labeled as saline 10%. So that is just means a salt solution of 10 parts of salt per 100 ml of water, and we just use that drop by drop in cocktails. Otherwise, the salt will just like kind of settle at the bottom of the glass.
Oh, yeah, okay. Good. So thanks. So mixologists have answered your question. Yes. Well done.
Saline solution sounds chemistry enough.
So they are BTech chemical engineering from IIT Madras.
Yeah, I'm not a chemical.
I'm chemical. Okay, next Karthi.
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah. Thank you. To you, Anand,
Yeah.
and perhaps you guys can also pitch in. Smoking has become uncool, and I think great marketing from everyone who's concerned about our health. Is alcohol headed the same way? Is that why we are seeing the sober movement, or is it only what you called out, that after the first drink, now I still want to look cool and therefore I hold something that looks alcoholish?
So, amongst the, in our generation, by the way, IIT Madras was dry my entire 5 years, right? Tamil Nadu was dry at that time.
I don't want to tell you guys what we used to drink
Yeah, don't
in
tell.
IIT Madras when Tamil Nadu was dry. That is.
But, yeah, so we shouldn't talk about that. But the fact is, when people drank, they drank to get drunk. Today I can tell you that it is completely uncool to be drunk, even amongst the kids of today, right? I mean, boys and girls together. Girls will not look at those guys who behave drunk. It's completely uncool. So I think there's a social reform kind of happening, which is also just making sure that people are much more balanced about what they consume. And I think the second is the mega trend of health. I mean, there was no gym when we were in college.
Sure.
And now there's a gym at every corner, right? So there is a mega trend, concern about health, eating healthy, doing physical fitness. And if you start doing those things, you consume less alcohol, you stop smoking, right? Because you are concerned about your own health. So I think those are the mega trends that really are
Thank you.
affecting consumption.
You want?
Just also to add
Yeah.
on to what Sir said is the consumer today is drinking less but drinking better. They are premiumizing themselves. If yesterday they drank an X brand and had 3 pegs of those, today they don't mind just having one good premium peg of a brand.
Mixologists, are going to continue to rule. They're going to become more and more valuable than the traditional bartender who just puts whiskey and soda and gives it to you.
Thank you.
So thanks. So Sanjay, mic to the back. You have a question here? Yeah.
Hi, good evening. My question is to Anand. What role do you feel advertising has to play now in the current circumstances that people are not watching TV the way they used to watch, and there were advertisements happening all the time. People are not reading newspapers. So I think the role of advertising or advertising companies probably is diminishing. How do you see this, and what kind of mixology do you recommend?
I'm not an expert. I did my marketing many decades ago when it was still quite simple and straightforward, like I said earlier, right? But I think the fact is, and I'll try and just conjecture what I feel. If you are part of a defined target audience of a company, there are ways to get to you, right? And therefore, you might not watch regular advertising, but you will get posts through WhatsApp on social media. You will get accosted through Instagram or Facebook or whatever else it is. But there are ways to get to you. And I think finally, brand building means you have to communicate, right? But I think the other development that's happened is it's much more of two-way communication between the brand and its consumers. Okay, but if you think of what's happening today, all the D2C brands that have come out, and many of them have just taken off. I must tell you this incident. I was talking to one of my old colleagues who is the CEO, still the CEO of DMart. He was telling me that there's this perfume brand, I don't even know the brand right now, and he's saying his procurement guys, purchase guys in his retail chain were negotiating with them for that last 0.5%, 1% discount or whatever. So he heard this was happening, and then he said, no, call that guy in. This guy has built 1,000 crore perfume brand only on the internet, and now he wants to go offline. So people are absolutely building brands, building demand, and for many D2C brands, digitally first brands, right? I'm associated with Swiggy, for instance. Okay, it's completely a digital first company. They're digital before they are anything else. But your ability to connect with consumers, I think today is as powerful as it always was. Maybe just a little different.
Yeah, I think you have to reach consumers. Earlier it was very simple. Doordarshan days, one spot on Doordarshan, 40% of all TV owning households you could reach. That dropped. Right? With satellite TV it became 3%, 4%, 5%. Even I think IPL this year must have been averaged what? 3.5, 4% TRP, right? But today other channels open up. Influencer marketing has become told. I had a crazy number yesterday that Unilever uses something like 100,000 influencers across their different brands. So this is the number, right? So is that advertising? Yeah. No, only one question alone.
No, but if I can just add to that, in China, for instance, this thing about what you said is brand endorsers. Online, there are live celebrities endorsing brands, and the sale is happening at that moment when they are talking. And the spike they get in sales when the brand promoter or endorser is talking about the brand and the experience of the brand, right, is just exponential what happens. So a lot of marketing and brand building now is happening that way in China.
Just to bring it alive, my book, I sent it to a few people. One of them was Harish Bhatt, who had also reviewed the book and given a quote. He posted on LinkedIn, and he told me, send me a photograph of you holding the book. I said, why? He said, no, something like that. I don't want to just put a book cover. I sent it, and my publisher said that one post pushed the rank of the book from some 200 to 100 book on Amazon. One post. So consumer is changing in very, very different ways. Okay, good. We answered your question. One more. Oh, President, President to. Mike.
How many new brands have come up? To my mind, all the brands or brand building exercise which was done in the 80s and 90s when Tatas and Birlas and Reliances and all these people came. Now no new brands.
You are not part of the target audience, obviously. So clearly it's not reaching you. But I'll tell you, if you look at the personal care category today, beauty and personal care, there's all the big MNCs, legacy brands are all losing market share. All the Unilevers and Proctors, they're all losing market share. They're all D2C brands, digital direct-to-consumer brands, built digitally. Right? Look at a brand like Mama. It went offline much later, right? And they went for an IPO and stuff, and just went offline only recently. Many of these brands today, you've got Purple, you've got all kinds of brands which you might not have heard of at all.
Let me do a little plug. We have a managing director, the chairman, and the promoter director of a company called Galaxy Surfactants. A lot of these guys, the Mama Earth, the Minimalist, all these guys take ingredients from them. So when I remember Shekhar telling me about what brand, Wow, right? Shekhar? I not heard of Wow. He says a 500 crore brand. 500 crore. He knew because he was supplying key raw materials to them. So there are so many brands out there. Have you heard of something called K-Beauty? Yes. Katrina Kaif ka khud ka brand. Right? So there are so many such great brands out there. But we may not have heard of them. And today they're narrow targeting. A brand called Minimalist. I never heard of it till Unilever paid 3,500 crores for a brand which had a sale of 200 crores and a profit of 20 crores. Look at the price earning multiple, 3,000 crores to 20 crores profit, right? They saw something in it. They paid. Then I went to our neighborhood chemist shop. What was it there? Famous. Noble. A big counter there of Minimalist. Right? So thanks. Do question ho gaya, boss?
Yes, sir.
Question here. Yeah. You want it? Yeah. Mic to young lady here.
Hello. Good evening, and I must tell you that this discussion has been amazingly interesting. I look forward to reading the book. And
unfortunately, the book contains no liquor recipes. No?
That's fine. I'll ask you a question pertinent to your subject. So, when you spoke of, this might be very basic. I know nothing of marketing. I'm a lawyer. So what I would want to understand is what's the baseline of when you begin marketing? Is it that you set out to change what the consumer wants, or you cater to the consumer and link it to what was said? When Khushnaz said that the brief changed when she was representing a brand, and then she had to cater to what the consumer wants and what is the, how to connect with that consumer. While he said, the consumer is now global, so you have to cater to their preferences as well. So does that, is it sector specific? I mean, what's the baseline?
I need to write a big book to answer that question.
You're getting commission.
Simple thing is, marketers look for, I've got this little model in the book called Brand Building Pentagon. So you first start doing what is called brand appraisal. Is there a gap in the market, and is there a market in the gap? Right? So there's two different things. Like if I do a study, 40% of people drink cold coffee, 65% drink hot coffee. So there is a gap in the market for lukewarm coffee. But there is no market in that gap. Yeah, there's no market in the gap. So you have to find out where is the gap in the market, and then can you fulfill it profitably? And then you launch the product. You could launch something new, like my latest acquisition, which is in the optician, is this Ray-Ban Meta AI glasses. You wear it, you can take photograph, you can take video. It's amazing. And it gets transferred to my mobile phone. From mobile phone I get it onto my laptop. I can do whatever I want with it. It's technology. They will promote it. They will make me feel that if I don't wear it, I'm losing something. And I wear it. Like this watch. So the watch contains, it tracks my heartbeat. I can do an ECG on it. So it's a new thing.
Incredible.
Yeah, incredible. So marketing sometimes satisfies an existing demand gap. Sometimes you create a demand and satisfy it. I mean, I've got my colleagues, ex-colleagues from my FCB Ulka days, Ashok and Suman standing in the back. I mean, these are the guys who do the analysis of consumer movement and how do you target your product or your service to the brand. Right? Before Jio came, mobile internet was being used by a fraction of people. Right? The Jio came and gave it free. 100 million people went and took it on, and then after that Jio said, pay me money. We're paying money. And our drivers outside is sitting and watching something on his phone. 560 million people are using mobile internet in this country. We are the number one country in terms of per capita consumption of video content. How did that happen? You drive down the road, you see the building. That's what happened. Right? So, okay. I think we've really got way past that promised. Now we have to wait for the toughest question of the evening from KBS Anand. My old friend from...
This question is for you.
For me?
Yeah.
Should I stand up, sir?
No. Now since we learned about the two secret ingredients, salt and ice, what for you in marketing are your secret ingredients?
Good question.
Finally.
I have no secret ingredient.
No, you have to tell
So
them.
my ingredient is simple, keep learning. That is the only ingredient I have. I mean, you may be surprised to know I have a AI trainer who comes and spends 2 hours every month with me. How to use AI. Right, so I can upload, I mean earlier I used to struggle, so now I can upload an article onto AI, OpenAI, get onto ChatGPT, convert that article into a slide format of say 10 slides. I can then give it to Microsoft, what is it called? Copilot, and I have my slides ready. What used to take me 5 days, done in 5 minutes. So that's my only secret. Keep learning.
But you're diverting from the answer. You're getting smart.
इसको कौन satisfy करेगा यार? नहीं हो सकता।
Sorry.
ऐसे नहीं कर सकता।
We know you too well.
इसको satisfy नहीं कर सकता। Okay, I'm going here. Last question. I hope you're not ragging me. That guy was trying to rag me.
This discussion by itself has been quite a kicker, this particular discussion, very nice discussion. As Mr. Prantik spoke about the significance of salt, it reminded me of having this ice cream called salted caramel. Yeah. Okay, now you spoke about the significance of alcohol, but alcohol also causes liver cirrhosis. It causes worsening of the liver. So what is the quantity of consumption required to avoid this kind of a liver problem? I mean, I don't alcohol, I don't drink, but you need some medical advice.
This is a
Out of syllabus.
I think only a doctor will be able to advise you, but we do believe drink responsibly, drink in moderation, anything in moderation. But however, I would suggest go to your doctor, please.
Maybe have a drink with your doctor.
Yeah, and a mixologist is probably the wrong person to ask health advice from.
No question. I just want to say, I've never seen you cross with anybody. I've never seen you solving crosswords. And it's ironical that I think crossword.
This is one of those high funda statement that he has not seen me solve crosswords, but I'm sitting in crossword and launching a book. This is the first time you're coming here, Gopi. I've done this 5 times here. Right, I've done multiple times. One of my favorite locations to launch a book. So I think yes, I think we should thank our panelists for a wonderful and illuminating evening. Thank you all. And a big round of applause for all of you for having come and supported me. Thank you very much. Have a great evening and see you at the next launch. And for those of you want to get my book, buy my book, a lot of copies are available. I'm sitting here. I'm more than happy to autograph it for you. So thank you very much for coming. Hey, Kavita, are you taking over now?